Behold, the golden flame of illumination blazes before our gaze. The pulsations of that flame arise and give birth to a renewal of God consciousness within the heart of all who hear and believe. For lo, the sword of the Lord divides the pages of life, that which appears may be real, and that which is darkness may not cleave unto man. For illumination and discrimination are the glorious gift which comes to all who will hear and understand the music of the lute of the heart of illumination, that the ear that hears may be blessed indeed, as an ear that hears and a tutoring one. For those who receive the gift of life and the compassion thereof will be enabled by grace universal to extend that sonorous grace unto all through the release of the living word from the heart of God. Let all understand the beauty that has been, the beauty that is, and the beauty that one day will be, because embodied humanity see the etching of the soul and draw it into the magnetic field of their mind, exalting those concepts released to them by God and adding that dignity of life which is their grace to impart. For it is the joy of God to extend himself unto each monad, that monad be blessed indeed with the capacity to scatter the universal seed and provide ingress and egress to every part of life into the heart of God. The heart of God will answer call. The heart of God will yield to all. The diamond perfection of the law. This brings forth in all that holy awe, that reverence, and deep respect, which to each individual life will resurrect Christ's perfection manifest. Lo, ladies and gentlemen, behold the eternal pathway of truth that has extended itself from within outward through the ages. The glorious luminosity of past ages, then, has filled the unwritten pages of your history with the drama of God's success and God failure. Do you understand that which I term God failure is man's failure? It is only God's, because he is crucified in mankind by man's failure to apprehend the living truth and to make ultimate use of that truth as it is released to him. The seed of cosmic proof is vouchsafed to all, yet all do not utilize it. All do not expend the living energy, the vital faith, the reality that is in the Godhead, and dispense it unto mankind. I am MERÚ. I release then my blessing to you all, a tangible release of light, and that call which is the call of God within the soul. If I am clothed upon then with only those vestiges of a transient reality, I would have no need to speak to you. But because I am clothed upon not only with the luminosity of God, but with the tenacity of the Holy Spirit, to lay hold upon human hearts, that those hearts may understand reverence and respect for life, and convey that reverence and respect for life not only to the contemporary age, but to all ages of the past and that future that is yet to be. Let men understand then that the glorious release of the culture of heaven to the earth will come about in a spiritual fashion, although it may not always be so recognized. The cultivation of the refined consciousness is a situation of universal bliss, imparting to mankind a renewal of ancient covenants in the present age, when those covenants then fulfilling the divine will and the human will that identifies with the divine will bring about the culmination of all virtue to modern man today, bringing him into intense identification with infinity itself, thus suffering all to enter in at the strait gate of divine reality and observe how the globes are lit. For when we light the globe of positivity, and we light the globe of what men have called negativity, but from our level is simply a difference in potential for a purpose, the flow of cosmic reality between these globes will indeed produce that manifestation of the chin light, which is the reality of God imparted to man in his Christic endeavors, extending themselves into the world of form as the flame of holy illumination. Now, when that flame is perceived and utilized as an energy force field for the individual monad through embellishing his own individualized heart flame with a universal knowledge, individuals will find that a perennial source of inspiration will flow unto them simply at their call. This release from the heart of God is an activity not only embracing their individual world, but creating an afflatus of light throughout the universe that resembles what your scientists have called the light microphone. It is as though a beautiful light were before an individual, and then the vocalization of mankind's words or even his thoughts were to intensify that flame and bring about that electronic response which would permeate the universe with the voice of each individual. When individuals then learned how to energize the giant force fields of the universe, the cosmic harp of heaven would be heard once again in the land, and in the universe as the land of God. For everywhere throughout cosmos, the universal intelligence would create a simultaneity of expression, which means, in fee simple, that all individuals perceiving a fount of knowledge within themselves would have the immediate transference of that knowledge to every other part of life. And what a giant leap that would make in a spiritual fashion. For mankind, through the process of divine attunement, would find the capacity of their individual monadic expression to increase itself and be enlarged upon, so that their capacity to hear spiritually would indeed be a gift of God to them at this present age. What a boon it will be when mankind understand this law and adhere to it. Then they will understand why that which is done in secret will be shouted from the housetops, because it will become impossible for mankind to conceal from the elect those who have chosen the spiritual way, anything that takes place anywhere in the universe. For immediately it will be known or shouted from the housetops. Let mankind ponder this thought for a moment. I am MERÚ, and I convey holy illumination's flame to you today. I convey it on wings of song. For behold, that beauteous expression which is called the singing flame is imparted to mankind who are ready to receive it even now. And with the gift of the singing flame to the consciousness of mankind, they will hear in the thrust of cosmic victory and universality the beingness of God conveyed into the realm of their own personal identity. Thus, as man hears, he will perceive. Thus, as mankind perceives, he will do. And thus, as mankind carries forth the action of doing, will be fulfilled those ancient tremors of divine wisdom that shall literally shatter mankind's density patterns until that which is formed in crystal and mist is indeed of God. We may say then safely, by thy God. For behold, by thy God shall life rule in thy own world, and thou wilt take dominion over thy native intelligence, which is the intelligence of God inherent within thee, which has been frustrated by the patterns of human density. With the release of all men who can accept it into the reality of God and their freedom from density, you will see taking place that which we will call spiritually intensifying the life flame of each monadic expression. Each individual will find himself raised in consciousness on what may indeed prove to be a permanent level. This will be one of the first steps taken in the whole saga of universal expression, the universal expression of God. Beloved hearts of light, when you hold faith in the invincible cosmic honor flame of God, you will understand that the flame of divine illumination is also waiting to confer its native reality upon all who are waiting to receive it. It is a great pity that individuals fail to understand that this flame is as tangible as that which appeared in the Sinai desert to Moses long ago. It is a part of your own beloved I am presence, and a part of that gnosis of spiritual wisdom whereby you may recover that which of old you lost. For when mankind once again retrieve that which is lost of the expression of the divine intelligence of God within the force field of their own native intelligence, restoring to it that blooming of consciousness which is like the rose blooming in the desert, mankind will find themselves once again able to coincide their consciousness with the consciousness of God blessedness, and thereby convey to mankind the proper use of life and its blessed manifestations. Let me speak for a moment upon that which also is in old Mexico and also in South America. Let me speak of the ancient records. Let me speak of that which is buried neath subterranean jungles, that which is covered with the dust or muck of centuries, and now is in many cases covered with vines and trees and undergrowth. I assure you, as the Lord liveth, in South America there was a remnant of a giant expression of an Atlantean civilization, magnificent in all of its outpicturing, magnificent in its great cities and buildings, gilded with gold, its temples and vast domes, its wisdom, and even the manifestation of those sepulchres which were used in those days for the incarceration of the bodies of those who passed from the screen of life. If you were to see the care with which The expressions to God as Inkle were expressed in the ancient and hidden Inca civilizations. Your hearts would leap with the pulsations of illumination's flame. As the pages of the hidden history of the world were actually unraveled and the book of life was opened, you would see the marvels that were created in those days long ago in South America, and you would desire once again to see the impoverished people of South America once again understanding the love of God and the light of his sun of illumination. And what shall I say of the Easter Island images? And what shall I say of the erection of these vast monuments by what can well be called a thaumaturgical process? What shall I say of the ancient powers of man, which then were existent and active in man, and today lie dormant? I tell you, much of the hidden hungers of mankind and their search for illumination is the recovery of those giant talents which mankind once had, but in many cases misused. Through the misuse and abuse of the great powers that were given to them, and their failure to apprehend the universal deity and his extension of love and life through them, in the embellishment of the ancient civilization which was manifest, they failed to comprehend the universal principles which sought to find life expression through them. And because of this, the powers of light and the karmic board withdrew, as it has done so often before, from the pages of life and civilizations, that sustaining element of universal grace, whereby life was able to achieve a greater measure of perfection. Then, too, what shall I say of the feast of Belshazzar and his 1,000 lords? What shall I say of this ancient feast, when the handwriting appeared upon the wall, and the words were written, Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin. And behold, thou art weighed, O civilization, in the balance, and thou art found wanting. What then shall the races of mankind do, when they are weighed as they shortly shall be, before the lords of karma? For there has come to pass in this day and age a petition of the keeper of the scrolls for what has been called an exploration and research of mankind's integrity and God perfection. And the report must now come forth from the planetary body and be brought before the cosmic lords, before the karmic lords, and before the entire spirit of the great white brotherhood in its eternal temple in the heart of the great central sun. This will happen within 6 months, that mankind will find that the examination of the earth by the karmic lords will result in a most certain edict that shall go forth unto all lands. This edict may be made manifest in a public manner, or it may be concealed and revealed only to those who are able to have eyes to see and ears to hear. But when it cometh forth, I assure you that it may well produce strange activities in the entire families of nations. There may be indeed a kindling of wars and rumor of wars, of earthquakes in divers places, and a shaking of the consciousness of mankind as a vindication of the wrath, or that which has been called and is the wrath of God, as the chastisement of the great central sun against mankind, so that mankind may produce more fruit than this earth has produced in all of its recent years. For deterioration has occurred within the mind and consciousness of mankind, and human viciousness has failed to cognize the great fruit of cosmic illumination which ought to be gleaned by mankind today as always. I am MERÚ. I do not come before you as a God or Lord, but rather as one who is your fellow servant of the prophets and those who stand upright before the God of the whole earth. Behold, I say unto you that we are one, that in our consciousness there is one determination, and that determination now is that mankind seek illumination as never before, that they may clean escape from those karmic patterns which surely, as the Lord liveth, shall descend into manifestation. What the karmic lords will determine is not mine to reveal, for the council has not yet convened, and we must, in due course of respect, reserve to them the right to perform their deliberations of spiritual examination of the life streams presently occupying the planetary body, and thereby make out of that determination whatever shall be the answer to mankind's present and current dilemma. Behold, I tell you, the flame of cosmic illumination liveth and blazeth, and as it liveth and blazeth, behold, it brings forth new thoughts unto mankind, and new facets of awareness that shall reveal to all peoples a gradual integration of their consciousness into the consciousness of the one God. For mankind shall indeed hunger and thirst after righteousness as never before. And you shall see an event taking place in all the family of nations that results from a great quaking of men's hearts as fear is multiplied first, as fear in its multiplication causes them to turn to love. For fear is a certain aspect which mankind have often not recognized for what it is. It is a chastising element in many cases of the love of God, who through the power of what men have called fear shall then be seen as an aspect of divine love that would bring mankind to their senses before they lose their eternal birthright and their eternal gifts of cosmic grace. Let all understand this then, for we want everyone upon the planetary body to be blessed with the holy flame of illumination. It is up to the karmic councils then to release these gifts unto mankind, but mankind ought to have in their spirit a great yearning and a desire for these gifts, that they may understand not only the ancient civilizations of the past, but those civilizations which shall come forth in the future, because the laws of God are loved and adhered to. Men of devotion will see that true gold is the gold of the Spirit, and so if tonight I invoke the angels of illumination to manifest and coat your consciousness with pure gold, let me say that that patine which I bring to you as an overlay of cosmic righteousness and illumination is only intended to whet your appetite for the solid gold of the Spirit, which can be produced in your awareness and force field as you drink at greater levels into that consciousness through your own breathing awareness of the need to desire the flame of holy illumination. For unless you desire that flame and seek it as men seek the sun, as men seek the light, as men seek God, you will not find it. For behold, the Lord shall hide his face from those who do not understand his perfection, who are unwilling to receive it, upon those whose hearts are consciously darkened, and upon those who turn away from his election of perfection. Behold, the time has come when men must choose this day whom they will serve, whether the Lord in his extension of holy illumination and grace, or the prince of this world in his darkness and his state of non-becoming. For I tell you truly, mankind in their consciousness have desecrated the flame of God illumination in the force field of their own mind by a lack of their faith and integrity in the wholeness of God and his ability to reach out still unto mankind in physical embodiment and speak to them. Think you then that in this age the hand of God or the tongue of God is tied, that it cannot speak to mankind, that the Lord is dumb? I tell you not so, for the Lord speaks not only physically in this manner, but also in that magnificent outreach of his power to the hearts of men that summons those hearts before him unto that judgment of the moment, which says unto all with the firmness of the Godhead, the Lord thy God liveth, and because he liveth, you shall live, you shall be a remnant of perfection unto the family of nations, that that perfection may sing a new song. This is the meaning of that which was revealed by John upon Patmos, saying that mankind should dip their vestures in the blood of the Lamb, that they might thereby be cleansed. We are not referring to a sacrificial dipping of the vesture of mankind, but rather a purification of his garments in the whole stream of the symbolic Lamb of God that taketh away the sins of the world. The Lamb is a symbol of the pure God consciousness expressed in the holy radiance of the Christ. Through the priesthood of Melchizedek, men shall be summoned to that awareness that brings forth the freedom of man to express independently of his earthly father and mother, recognizing all who are brethren in the light as father, mother, sister, brother, and chosen of God. For when men choose God consciously and regenerately, they fulfill that perfection which has been ordained from the foundation of the world. And today it summons to that beautiful and bountiful judgment the hearts of men, that they may receive our blessing. O angels of my band, coat now the consciousness of these embodied souls and those who shall hear our words in the future with that pure patine of golden illumination spun from the heart of the singing flame of illumination. Let them understand the meaning of effulgent grace, of the overflowing of the consciousness, of the summoning of the elect to the borders of the kingdom, that the kingdom may expand and that life upon the planetary body become a life of worth to all, that progress and the bounty of the Christ consciousness be given unto men as never before, and that they recognize that this exchange of their human consciousness and the measure thereof is in itself the number 666, which is transmuted by the power of the 3 times 3 into the 999, or the power of the 3 times 3, and mankind is freed forever from the carnal mind and its immediacy of death into the perfection and life of the spiritual mind and the peace that thereby is conveyed to all who will accept it. I am MERÚ. Behold, the goddess MERÚ stands with me, and shall also utter on the morrow those facets of her consciousness which pertain to the divine feminine, the bringing forth then of greater radiance in the face of all life and its human discord, so that in mankind's seeing of that perfection and its concordant reality, they shall yearn to see a greater measure of the architecture, the culture, the wisdom, and the beauty of the new age to be unfolded within their heart, and thus within the heart of a planet. Peace and wisdom upon you, and the victory of the singing flame forever be manifest to the earth. I thank you.